Today I'm comparing the Ariel Posen signature model of the Hudson Broadcast to the original Hudson Broadcast, although it's not the original, that was a single pedal. This is the double pedal version. Hi everyone, sometimes I come across a couple of pedals, whether they're like these ones from the same company or from different companies, that really warrant a very thorough sort of and quite in-depth review or comparison. And I only do that because if I wanted to buy one of these two pedals myself, I'd like to see it in various situations with different guitars or amps and to go into quite a lot of the settings. Now, I don't do these videos too often. They're really quite long and they take a long time to make in terms of editing and recording. And I also am aware that I can't be 100% thorough because these videos could just go on forever. You could literally turn a knob that goes in a round direction. You can turn it in any number of ways. So I just wanted to make you aware why this video is so long. I try and do it so that you can use the timestamps to get to the parts that will most interest you. And if you also notice in a timestamp, there will be a part where I will tell you basically which pedal I would pick, or in some cases which pedal I would think is better, or anything like that. Now, if I would just ask one thing of people, if they could help me out, is essentially by, let's say, just adding on 10 minutes worth of extra demos to show you different guitars, I'm making the video longer. And obviously, you may not know, but on YouTube, most people don't watch that much of a video, really. Even if you make really good content, which obviously I don't always make really good content, just make average content. But some people only stick around for 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes on these 30-minute videos, I get an average watching time of 5 or 6 minutes. And YouTube basically penalizes you for that. They don't push the video out so much. So if you're able to, and if you appreciate the level of work that goes into these things, then perhaps you could let the video run in the background throughout, for its whole length, and that would just really help me out. And if you can't, it's not a problem. As I said, I put the timestamps there for a reason, for people who need to watch things more quickly or have less time or just aren't that interested in watching the whole thing. So now that I've justified it enough, let's get on with the video. Although I have one last thing to say. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much for coming to watch. I wanted you to know that I'm giving away this pedal, the BB Preamp by Exotic Effects, which is a fantastic pedal for all sorts of things. It stands for Big British Preamp. I've made a few videos about it. Anyway, I'm giving this away to someone who subscribes publicly and makes a comment somewhere on the channel when I hit 2,500 subscribers. I've done 2 giveaways before and the winners have received them, so it's for real. So anyway, go ahead and subscribe if you'd like to try and win that, or if you like my content. Anyway, now let's get into these pedals. Now let me quickly tell you how these things work so you can follow along easily in this video. You have your on and off switch here. You have low gain, high gain. High gain is when the light goes green. You have a low cut trimming knob here, which is really effective and cuts down a lot of the low frequencies as you go up. Then you have your gain trim, which increases and saturates and sort of fuzzes up the circuit as you increase it. Then you've got level for both the low and the high gain circuits, which is fantastic to have them sort of unique to each other. Now, this is a germanium-based preamp, which is not, it doesn't feel or play or sound like any sort of standard flavor overdrive pedal. So I thought it'd be cool for you to just quickly hear a few different pedals next to this so that you can see immediately that these are not standard type overdrives. So let's just hear a tube screamer. A Nobels ODR1. A clone pedal. and then this one, so you can hear the difference. Okay, so now that you know these are not like standard pedals, how does it differ to this one? Well, obviously the look and the feel is similar but different. I love how simple this pedal is, which really fits with Ariel Posen's sort of whole thing, doesn't it? He's got that really simple, deceptively simple thing going on, which is incredibly effective. So you have this toggle here for your low cut. It's on when it's up. Then you have your gain, trim, and you have your level. Now this is a silicon-based pedal, and it's based on the lower gain side of the Broadcast, but with some differences in the sort of components used, which give it a sort of slightly smoother, warmer, more powerful feel. So what I want to see today is A, which one would I put on my board personally, and B, you know, which one am I going to get the better sound out of. Now I've decided today to use not such a boutique amp as I might normally. I've decided to plug into my Marshall JTM reissue, which is a lovely amp, but it's a sound that a lot of people are familiar with, so hopefully that helps you to figure out what you might. Okay, so as I just said, I'm going to be using the Marshall with a P90 Les Paul type guitar for the main bulk of this review. But at the end of it, as you'll see in the timestamps, I've got a Strat, a Tele, and a DGT, Paul Reed Smith DGT, played through my Two Rock Bloomfield Drive. And I know quite a few of you probably come to my channel because you want to hear the Two Rock amps and things like that, and more boutique amps. So I've put those at the end, and I would say at this point, some of the best sounds I get out of these pedals come through amps like the Two Rock amps. It's just that articulation and sort of clarity that really gets the best out of the pedals. But I hadn't used the Marshall for a long time, and I really, really enjoyed it with these pedals. I went a little bit more high gain than I normally would, so I'd be interested to know what you think down in the comments. So let's go and put them next to each other. I'll just do a quick demo of how they each sound, and then we'll compare them as I push a fuzz pedal into both of them, see how dynamic they are, and then we'll try them with different guitars. Okay, so first of all, let's adjust the low cut knob on this Broadcast. I'll just go up a few different settings and you can see how it works. So on the face of it, it does appear that the original Broadcast has more options in terms of that low cut, and I find it more useful than I thought I would. For example, this Marshall JTM has a reasonably flubby lower end, even though I keep that pulled down, the bass pulled down quite a lot, and I like to play in the neck pickup a lot as well. So I find that actually that low cut sweep is really useful. Maybe not so much for me in the top third or quarter, but somewhere in the middle it's really good. Now on the Ariel Posen one, I can see why they've made it simpler, partly because I think for his sound they want to keep that real warmth in there. So maybe they don't want to cut quite as much or allow you to cut quite as much. But you can open up the back of the pedal and play around with the amount of low cut that's available on each of the sort of toggles. So let's have a quick look at that now. Okay, you can see there are 2 screws there. The one on the right is for position 1, that is as in the switch is off. So when it's off, you could make it so that it by default cuts more of the lower end, but I'm going to keep that one as it is, which is at its lowest position. Number 2 is also at the lowest position. I'm going to increase that about halfway so that when we push that switch up, we're cutting more low end, and let's see what that sounds like. As you'd expect, there aren't really any settings that can sort of ruin the low cut switch. So you saw it there in the normal position, the middle position, and at the maximum low cut. I would personally keep it somewhere nearer the original position, i.e. minimum low cut. Just above that, I would say, probably would be a sweet spot. It would have been cool if there was just a normal low cut knob like on the other one, but I get the aesthetic, I get the simplicity of it, and I get that you don't want to be able to fiddle around with that all the time, and this is a really warm pedal which gives you that AP sound, I guess. So it's really cool that they put the trim screws in there in the first place, to be honest. One little detail I noticed on the inside of the back panel when you take it off is it's actually got Michael Hudson's initials on, you know, just to sort of prove that he's made it himself, I guess, and checked it and everything like that. So just another example of the quality level of these pedals. Okay, now I'm going to take you through the gain knob, or gain trim as he calls it, to show you what happens at various points. now we're going to have a look at how the pedals interact with one of my favorite fuzz pedals, the Kington Mini Fuzz Silicon. So I'm just going to start by showing you the tone of the vintage fuzz, sorry, not the vintage fuzz, the mini fuzz by itself, and I'll come back in a second. Okay, now the fuzz with the AP, and I just do the first little bit with the volume turned quite far down on my guitar, and then I'll whack it up. Okay, now with the broadcast, and I'll also show you at different volumes on the guitar. Okay, now here are the favourite settings of mine on both the AP and the broadcast whilst playing with the fuzz in the way that I would play. Okay, I wanted to see how the pedals reacted to the guitar volume being used, because a lot of us, I think, use the pedals or amps at quite a high rate and then sort of use the volume on our guitar to play around with that. You'll notice I've only shown you on the AP, and that's because they were very, very similar between the two. But I showed the AP because I think it was just a tiny bit more effective at doing that than the broadcast was. This next little section is basically just me trying to match up the settings a little bit between the two pedals and just going back and forth for a couple of minutes, as if basically you had the pedals in front of you and you were just trying to compare. So just go ahead and listen, and it might help you a little bit further to decide which pedal you prefer. Okay, well, here's the point where I basically tell you which one I prefer or which one I would put on my board. Just to say that there is still a demo coming up with the Marshall using a humbucker Les Paul. Then there is a Strat, a Tele, and a PRS DGT using the Bloomfield. And for me personally, my favorite tones came today on the Strat with the Bloomfield. These pedals are incredible in terms of their flexibility. Both of them are. You've heard that I've gone, in this sort of blues rock field, I've gone pretty high gain with them, and they have their own character. They start to go from like a waspy overdrive to a real fuzzy pedal, and I really like the fuzz. It's like a fuzz face sort of a sound, but use them in a more sort of sensitive way, rolled back quite a lot with something like a Strat, and you get these really, really beautiful edge of breakup sounds that I know a lot of us really love. And you can do this with a lot of different guitars, even if I haven't shown it in the demo. It pretty much, they're sensitive enough to the output of your guitar to be able to get the edge of breakup. It works really well with Strats, it works really well with Telecasters, it works really well with my old low output vintage 355. And I would say that I would be using the pedal most of the time for the edge of breakup. But between the two pedals, it's really hard to say which one I would prefer, because there are tones on both of them that I absolutely love. The first thing to say about them both is I wouldn't hesitate in buying one of them if I were you. If you're looking for something different, if you've tried so many tube screamers, blues breakers, clong clones, Nashville style pedals and whatever else you can find, and you just haven't quite found something unique enough or different enough for you, or you just want to find something different, then these broadcast pedals are a completely different ball game to all of those. They don't feel exactly the same to play, they don't react the same way to other pedals. It's really hard to explain, and I've tried to do it through showing you more than by just talking about it. Now, it's hard to say if I were to pick one which I would pick. For now, the AP will stay on my board most of the time. It's just the sweet spot I found with a particular guitar combination, either normally my ES355, the AP, and a blues breaker pedal, which I use the Protein, through my Bloomfield Drive gives me the exact tone that I'm after. So for me, that Ariel Posen warmth is fantastic. If you were gigging, on the other hand, and you're not just playing edge of breakup, and you want the flexibility of a dual-sided pedal by pressing the other side, then the original broadcast, or the broadcast with both sides on it, is incredible for that, because it's flexible. You can kick from your edge of breakup sound, and you can really whack it up using the foot switch to change to the high gain side, and it's still got a similar sort of tone, slightly less warm perhaps, maybe slightly less dynamic. I find it's great that the Ariel Posen pedal picks up on the low gain side of the broadcast pedal, but with a bit more oomph to it, and you feel that, and it just makes your guitar feel a little bit more dynamic. So I would say if I had to pick one of these two pedals, that I could only have one of them, it would be the Ariel Posen one. I like how the tone gets a bit warmer and stuff as you whack up the gain level on there. I find the trim thing on the inside useful. I didn't even play with the other trim in there, which is for the gain, which will make it incredibly fuzzy and a lot louder if you turn that up according to the manual, so you get even more dynamics out of this pedal. But if I were gigging and needed more than one type of sound within a set, might find that I would actually change the pedal out for the broadcast, and especially if I was having a smaller board, or you could even use that as a single pedal, I think. So it's hard to give anyone an answer on this as to which is correct for you. They're both fantastic. They're both actually pretty good value for money. They're quite hard to get hold of. The AP you can only order through Anderton's, and they get them in very occasionally. He's obviously hand making them all. So now you can go ahead and finish up by watching the Les Paul humbucker on the Marshall, and then the Strat and things like that. I urge you to hear that Strat tone. It's not about my playing. I often don't have a lot of time to put the demos together. I literally sit down and have 5 minutes per guitar, because even this video has taken me most of this week. So I hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful. It's not so much a vloggy style video as a sort of instructional or demo style video, which is difficult to make well and difficult to make interesting. So I hope some of you have stuck around to this point. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and watch the rest of it. Use the timestamps. And as I asked you at the beginning, if it's at all possible to let the video run for its full length, that would be great for me. And yeah, see you next time. Cheers. Higher gain setting.
Thank you.